Welcome to today's video on optimizing your retirement savings order when you're juggling a substantial pension and high-interest debt. In this episode, we'll explore how guaranteed returns from paying down debt can beat uncertain market returns, how a pension changes your tax strategy, and the revised hierarchy to accelerate financial independence. Let's begin by outlining what we'll cover, and then transition into key concepts you can apply immediately. Here's today's agenda. First, we will frame the core problem, the trade-off between guaranteed returns from paying down high-interest debt and the uncertain returns of the market. Next, we'll discuss how a taxable pension changes the traditional advice about pre-tax versus Roth contributions. Then, we'll walk through a revised savings hierarchy, followed by a practical 6-step action plan. Throughout, we'll show diagrams, a comparison table, and include short quizzes to reinforce the content. Now, before we dive into the strategy, let's start with an important disclaimer. This content is educational only and not financial, tax, or legal advice. Because everyone's circumstances differ, you should consult a fiduciary financial advisor or qualified tax professional before acting. Also, tax rules and pension provisions vary by country and can change, so always verify current regulations. With that clarified, let's smoothly transition into why guaranteed returns from paying down high-interest debt are so powerful. When your mortgage is above roughly 5%, especially 6% or higher, each extra dollar paid toward principal effectively earns a guaranteed return equal to that rate, after considering typical tax situations where mortgage interest is not fully deductible. Even if some interest is deductible, the after-tax return is often compelling. Furthermore, eliminating a mortgage before retirement reduces the size of the portfolio you need to support housing costs. For example, a $2,000 monthly mortgage translates to $24,000 annually. Using a 4% safe withdrawal assumption, that would require around $600,000 of additional retirement assets to fund. By paying off the mortgage early, you remove that obligation entirely. Consequently, before increasing retirement contributions beyond the employer match and emergency fund, focusing on high-interest debt creates a powerful, risk-free return. Now that we've established why guaranteed returns deserve priority, let's move on to how pensions complicate the usual tax strategy. This flowchart depicts the revised savings hierarchy in order. First, capture the employer match since it is effectively free compensation. Second, build an emergency fund to protect against unexpected expenses. Third, pay off high-interest debt, prioritizing mortgages above roughly 5%, especially 6% or higher, because the debt repayment provides a guaranteed return and reduces future retirement funding needs. Fourth, maximize Roth contributions, either through a Roth IRA or Roth workplace plan, because a taxable pension will likely increase your retirement tax bracket, making post-tax contributions now more attractive. Fifth, once Roth is optimized, increase pre-tax deferrals to fill remaining savings goals. Finally, consider a taxable brokerage account for additional flexibility. Each step flows into the next, and side notes emphasize the guaranteed return from debt payoff and the value of tax diversification in the presence of a pension. With the hierarchy clear, we can now examine the pension paradox in more detail. A pension changes the usual assumption that you will be in a lower tax bracket during retirement. When you add together a taxable pension, Social Security benefits, and withdrawals from pre-tax accounts, your retirement income can equal or exceed your current income. This undermines the traditional advice to maximize pre-tax contributions exclusively. In this situation, Roth contributions become more attractive. You pay taxes now, but Roth withdrawals later can be tax-free, providing valuable tax diversification and reducing the impact of required minimum distributions. Roth IRAs do not have RMDs, and as of 2024, Roth workplace plans no longer have RMDs. Additionally, higher taxable income in retirement can increase Social Security taxation and trigger Medicare IRMAA surcharges. Therefore, accelerating Roth savings while you manage debt can shield part of your future income from higher tax rates. Next, let's compare Roth and pre-tax contributions side by side. This table compares Roth and pre-tax contributions. Roth contributions are taxed now and are beneficial if your future tax bracket is the same or higher, which often happens with a pension. Roth IRAs have no required minimum distributions, and Roth 401k RMDs have been eliminated starting in 2024, which reduces forced taxable income later. Pre-tax contributions defer taxes until retirement and are best when your future bracket will be lower. However, With a pension, pre-tax balances can compound into larger future RMDs, potentially increasing Social Security taxation and triggering Medicare IRMAA surcharges. Employer matches generally go into the pre-tax side regardless of your contribution type. With the comparison in mind, let's bring this back to a concrete action plan. Follow these 6 steps in order. First, contribute enough to get the full employer match. Second, establish an emergency fund to prevent setbacks from unexpected expenses. Third, pay down high-interest debt, especially mortgages at 6% or higher, to secure guaranteed returns and reduce your required retirement nest egg. Fourth, maximize Roth contributions to protect against higher retirement tax brackets under a pension. Fifth, once Roth space is filled, increase pre-tax deferrals to further boost savings. Sixth, if you still have surplus cash flow, add to a taxable brokerage account for flexible goals and liquidity. With the action plan defined, let's visualize the timing of debt payoff and savings contributions. This timeline illustrates how priorities unfold over time. In the initial months, you capture the employer match and establish your emergency fund. As that stabilizes, you enter a sustained period focused on paying down high-interest debt, especially mortgages over 6%. Once the emergency fund is set, you can begin maximizing Roth contributions concurrently, provided the debt payoff remains aggressive. After eliminating high-interest debt, you expand pre-tax deferrals. Finally, as surplus cash flow emerges, you add a taxable brokerage for flexibility. With timing in view, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. Question: with a 6.5% mortgage, a pension expected in retirement, and a 401k that offers a match, which order is most aligned with the revised hierarchy? Options are A. Max pre-tax 401k, then Roth, then pay extra mortgage. B. Get match, emergency fund, aggressively pay mortgage, then Roth, then pre-tax. C. Skip the match, pay mortgage, then Roth only. D. Max Roth first, then pay mortgage, then match. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the correct answer in the next section. The correct answer is B. First, capture the employer match. Second, fund the emergency buffer. Third, aggressively pay the high-rate mortgage because the guaranteed return is compelling. Fourth, maximize Roth contributions due to the pension's likely upward pressure on future tax rates. Finally, increase pre-tax deferrals. Now, let's reinforce the tax concept with one more question. Question: if your pension plus Social Security will likely keep you in the same or higher tax bracket in retirement, which account type generally deserves emphasis after capturing the employer match and building the emergency fund? Options are A. Pre-tax 401k only, B. Taxable brokerage only, C. Roth IRA or Roth 401kd, health savings account only. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the correct answer in the next section. The correct answer is C. Roth IRA or Roth 401k. A pension tends to increase future taxable income, so building Roth balances today can provide tax-free withdrawals later and reduce exposure to higher brackets and required distributions. With the quizzes complete, let's compare the classic hierarchy with the revised approach. On the left is the classic approach. Capture the match, then maximize pre-tax contributions, followed by Roth and taxable accounts. This rests on an assumption that your tax bracket will be lower in retirement. On the right is the revised approach suited for a taxable pension and high-interest debt. Capture the match, build an emergency buffer, aggressively pay down high-interest debt, then maximize Roth, followed by pre-tax, and finally taxable. This recognizes that a pension can keep you in the same or a higher tax bracket, and that guaranteed returns from debt payoff can outperform uncertain market returns while also reducing your required retirement portfolio. Next, let's map the risks of over-relying on the pension. This mind map centers on the realities of pensions. Formula uncertainty arises from years of service and final average earnings calculations. Employment risk includes job changes or layoffs that affect service years. Inflation risk depends on whether the plan offers full or partial cost of living adjustments. Funding risk refers to the financial health of the pension plan itself. Tax interactions include the effects on Social Security taxation, Medicare IRMAA, and required minimum distributions from pre-tax accounts. Longevity risk considers how long you may depend on pension income. To mitigate these risks, pursue diversified saving, emphasize Roth where appropriate, accelerate mortgage payoff, run periodic retirement projections, and maintain contingency plans. Now, let's distill the essentials into concise key points. These are the key takeaways. Always secure the employer match. Establish an emergency fund. Prioritize paying down high-interest debt such as a 6% or higher mortgage. Consider prioritizing Roth contributions given the pension's impact on future tax brackets. Recognize that eliminating debt reduces the retirement portfolio required, and avoid over-relying on the pension by diversifying savings. Next, we will summarize the full journey and offer a final call to action. In summary, paying down high-interest debt can deliver guaranteed returns and reduce the size of the portfolio required to retire. A pension often changes the traditional tax calculus, making Roth contributions more compelling for many. The revised hierarchy is to secure the match, build the emergency fund, eliminate high-interest debt, maximize Roth, then increase pre-tax deferrals, and finally use taxable accounts for flexibility. Eliminating the mortgage can dramatically reduce the assets needed at retirement. Continue saving aggressively and diversifying so you are not overly dependent on a single income source. To close, let's wrap up with a friendly request. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, let us know your revised hierarchy and why. Your insights can help others think through similar decisions. See you in the next video.